sir.
Don't come back.
I wonder why your mother was sick of you.
Who wants higher taxes? Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today, we've got the WHO calling to hike taxes in Canada. We also have a Liberal saying it was a mistake by Mark Carney to allow Pierre Poilievre to call the by-election at its earliest moment. It's also been exposed that the first nation-building project in Canada is funding China. Let's jump into this. We got this one from Table Salt. It says, so where exactly in Canada are you going to find $100 billion for defense spending? This is talking about Mark Carney committing us to NATO 5% GDP spending by 2035. It says this is the balance sheet. It's already negative. Without going into all the details, you can just see the expenses are higher than the revenues. If Stephen Harper was still running the country, or if Pierre Poilievre was prime minister, you would see this flipped the other way around. Looking at the biggest one, obviously, personal income taxes, corporate income taxes are the biggest revenues. The biggest expenses, direct program expenses, major transfers to persons, major transfers to provinces, territories, and municipalities. Where's Mark Carney going to find the money? 5% military spending? How is it going to happen? What is he cutting from here? Why the unrealized capital gains on home equity tax, of course. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring that in, bring home equity tax. Anytime anyone sells their house, the government's taking 10 or 20%. If they do that, though, they're going to see some Liberals get really pissed off, though, for the first time. So we'll see what happens. Table Salt posting this one. Canada has officially added 757,000 people year over year via immigration, but is now down to only plus 30,000 jobs. That's 750,000 workers for 30,000 jobs. Make that make sense. As he says, thank a Liberal. This doesn't make sense. This math doesn't math. You're going to end up with a whole bunch of people drawing from our system, once again, pulling money from our system, welfare checks that taxpayers have to pay for. And we wonder why Canada is so screwed right now. Don't forget to thank the NDP if you can find them. Yeah. Next up, we've got this article here, which is a lot of people are calling it rage bait. Anita Nand, you'll see mainstream media all pushing this out. Today, the government of Canada was notified that the perishing of a Canadian citizen while in custody in the United States. Canadian consular officials are urgently seeking more information from U.S. officials. I offer my sincere condolences to the family. Oh my God, a Canadian was captured by the evil Americans and was taken out and has perished while in custody. It's rage bait. That's what this is. Because if you look at what happened here, this is all over mainstream media like CTV.
Some breaking news, a 49-year-old Canadian man has died while in the custody of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency known as ICE. Johnny Noviello was taken by ICE agents when he was checking in with a probation officer. The exact details on his death, including the cause, are now under investigation.
Oh my God, the Canadian was captured and he perished. What happened? What really happened, this 49-year-old Johnny Novella, in October 2023, he was convicted in Eastern Florida for racketeering and street candy trafficking and sentenced to 12 months in prison. He's a criminal. On May 15th, 2025, he was arrested by ICE and Florida Department of Corrections Probation Office and charged. So likely he owed money to other street candy traffickers, and one of them got a buddy or someone in jail to take him out. This is rage bait for a bad guy that deserves to be behind bars. Not every Canadian is a good Canadian. We all know that because there's home invaders running rampant in our streets. We've got auto theft, jewelry store theft, stumbling juice theft. There's theft and criminals everywhere. And on top of all of that, he entered the U.S. with a visa on January 2nd, 1988. He's been down there for 37 years, and they're trying to rage bait with this Canadian being captured. He's basically American at this point, and he was a bad guy. These days, anyone with a pulse can be called a Canadian. Yeah, isn't that the truth? What happened to patriotism and people having to wait in line, having to fight, having to work hard to become a Canadian and really embracing our culture? Now we have people coming in trying to replace our culture. Next up, we got this story coming from Juno News. The WHO calls for Canada to hike sin taxes to cover Trump funding gap. This is a joke, man. So because Trump pulled out of the WHO, this buffoon is now expecting us to pay more. The World Health Organization wants countries like Canada to raise taxes on stumbling juice, sugar, and tobacco to make up for foreign aid cuts triggered by U.S. President Donald Trump. Goes on to say here, this is because Trump pulled out of the WHO. Furthermore, it says that Canada's contribution to the WHO surged during the world event in 2020 and 2021. Ottawa sent over 212 million USD, nearly 3 times the usual annual amount. Since then, yearly contributions have settled around $85 million. The WHO's call for higher taxes comes as Canadians are already dealing with inflation and tax fatigue. Instead of reevaluating spending priorities or cutting waste, they want to increase taxes further. This all hinges around Donald Trump pulling out of the WHO $9.4 billion in foreign health spending that is no longer there. With that, on this episode of Far Off Ripoff, support for Contingency Fund for Emergencies, World Health Organization. That's right, the Liberals just recently gave $5 million of our money to the WHO. You see there, $5 million. And what's in this policy marker? We've got climate change mitigation, climate change adaptation, throw in some youth issues, urban issues, desertification, nutrition, gender equality, disability, environmental sustainability, and Indigenous issues. Oh, and a little biodiversity just to top it off. This is the biggest DEI list I've ever seen in my life. So expected results here, outcome, this project includes surveillance, early detection, and rapid assessment of disease outbreaks. The expected ultimate outcome is lives saved, suffering alleviated, yada, yada, yada. What I want to see is an itemized list from the WHO, since it's our money, where every dollar of this $5 million goes to. I want to see every single thing listed out. Otherwise, we shouldn't be sending a dollar. Next up, we got Leviathan posting this one. We got some friendly characters doing unintended valet service.
Yeah, oh my gosh, they're carjacking the car.
They got their car jacked.
We need to call 911. Oh my gosh.
It's only in Canada there's just this many carjackings. I mean, the Liberals allow them to get away with it, and people are coming from around the world to jack cars because it's so easy to do it here. There's no punishment. My insurance rates just went up seeing this. Culprits were probably released on bail. Don't worry, municipal speed cameras are installed all over the city for safety. Next up, we got this one coming from iPolitics. Should Carney have promised to immediately call by-election for Poilievre? So a Liberal who doesn't want to be named is coming out and saying that he shouldn't have done this. This is bad strategy. As it says here, I think that was a bit of a political mistake for the Prime Minister to give Pierre a sort of free pass to run in a by-election and saying he's going to call it at the earliest opportunity. Remember, he was like, no games, said Liberal MP who asked to not be identified to share their concerns. What's with these Liberals? Have a backbone. Identify yourself. This article talks about how it's bad strategy, and the reason why is Mark Carney, at the earliest point, it says here, the 29th, I've mentioned this before, Sunday, June 29th, Mark Carney can call a by-election. He said at the earliest point, will he call it on June 29th? In contrast, he can wait a full 6 months, and then if you add in the 36 days, up to 50 days for the actual by-election itself, it's a difference of August 4th versus February 2nd. It's a huge difference. The main point of this article is that February 2nd would be after Poilievre's leadership review in January. So the Liberals are desperate to get rid of Pierre because he has brought so many people into the party. He's a strong leader with great ideas. He's good at rallying people. He's good at talking to business leaders and leaders in industry and getting to the root of the problem right away and figure out how to fix it. The Liberals know this. That's why they've stolen a bunch of his policies. You notice they're not coming up with their own policies. They just keep ripping off what Pierre comes up with, and that's through hard work, talking with people, going to the mills, going to the steel factories, going to oil rigs and farms and everything else. So they don't want Poilievre in the House of Commons. The thing is, Mark Carney, if he doesn't call this, he'll look like a weak loser who's absolutely terrified of Poilievre. We'll give him more support come his leadership review. If he does call it, then it shows he's not afraid, but then Poilievre's back in the House in September and he'll be grilling him, and Mark Carney won't know what to do because he's not used to having someone coming at him in his face. You've seen this in the House of Commons. He puts on his Mr. Speaker, like this big fake persona. It's like he has to put on this suit of armor when he goes to talk, but it's so disingenuous. So while I agree with the Liberal here that it is bad strategy of Carney to do this, he's already made the decision. He can't take it back now because it'll backfire on him big time. He has to follow through with it. Otherwise, he looks like he's scared. He also will be a liar, which is a double negative to voters. So this story is absolutely blowing up right now. The Globe and Mail reporting that the $1 billion loans for BC ferries turns out came from the Canadian Infrastructure Bank. And who funds that? The Liberals. Chrystia Freeland came out just a couple days after this happened and she condemned it. How could they do this? It turns out the Liberals are behind funding this. They funded the Chinese ferries. They talk about elbows up and big infrastructure projects, nation building projects, and the first thing they do is send $1 billion to China. It says here the $1 billion provided to the Canadian Infrastructure Bank. So she did this, I believe, on X or on social media. She criticized this whole purchase when her and the Liberals are behind it. It says Ms. Freeland's letter says China has imposed unjustified tariffs on Canada, including 100% tariff on canola oil, meal, and pea import. She later added, we've also been had ongoing concerns regarding threats to security, including cybersecurity from China. What does she do? She sends $1 billion to China. Congrats. We also got David Eby here saying he was not happy with the plan that the ferries should be built here in Canada. Well, you're the premier, dude. Do something about it. This is weak leadership once again. Just a couple of losers who are unable to act in Canada's best interest. Once again, they're acting in Xi Jinping's best interest. Mark Carney's former business partner, Xi Jinping. Mario posted this one. Canada needs to pay attention to Portugal. Immigration is out of control. New proposed law, you must be a resident for 10 years. So I brought this up in a previous video. Government takes new steps in reorganizing Portugal's uncontrolled immigration. They're the only ones stepping away from the norm in Europe, or one of the few. Italy's doing good as well. Minister outlining changes to laws and immigration yesterday, so Portugal's not having it. Carney and the elites don't care. People in the comments here wondering, well, how do you enforce it? All you need to do is have a penalty. If you have a work visa and it's expired and you're still in the country and the government finds out, put them in jail cleaning sewers, digging ditches for 6 months. People won't stay in Canada if they're going to get locked up and have to do dirty jobs like that. We get some free labor out of it, punish people for breaking the law, people would head out. The problem will solve itself if you have a stiff enough penalty for it. Next up, we got this one from Shazzy Goli. It says Ontario's housing machine is grinding to a halt. Sales have vanished. Projects will dry up by 2027. No homes, no jobs, no investments. I mean, we saw this coming from the Globe and Mail report the other day, bleak outlook for Canada.
The latest warning from the home building industry about an impending cliff for construction.
We're seeing sales have stopped.
The industry says even as interest rates, the cost of materials, and municipal taxes have decreased, buyers still aren't biting. And no sales means no shovels in the ground.
There's projects being completed now, but once those projects get completed in 26 and 27, there is going to be a real lack of jobs, lack of investment, lack of a new activity, and lack of delivery of new homes in 28 and 29.
Despite the Ford government's new law aimed at helping home builders free up cash and fast-track projects, the industry is still calling for more help, asking for provincial and federal tax breaks to lower construction costs.
Those taxes are not paid by our industry. They're passed through to the consumer. And I think the consumer is currently voting with their pocketbook that regardless of the changes in market forces, regardless of some of the adjustments in taxes, price points are still too high. We cannot possibly deliver homes for the price that people are willing to pay.
But provincial officials told Global News any kind of tax holiday isn't under consideration, and tax breaks would be aimed at buyers rather than builders. What the Ford government is looking at is how to work with Ottawa. The federal government has pledged to tap unused public lands to build affordable housing.
We have a lot of surplus land in Ontario, and I think in Ontario alone, over 200 sites. Not all could be available for housing, but let's repurpose that land where we can. Let's repurpose it so we can get affordable housing starts, work with non-for-profits. Let's work for new home buyers. Let's find homes for the missing middle.
But the government also says it wants to give its latest housing policies at least 1 to 2 years to understand its impact before making any additional changes. At Queen's Park.
There's too many factors here that is absolutely annihilating the housing sector. You have a bunch of foreign money now being pulled out of Canada. I showed that recently. Rich multimillionaires, billionaires from China are pulling out. Canadians don't have the money to buy these houses. People who bought in with FOMO got rug pulled on them, and now the value of their homes are dramatically lower than what they bought them. Investment is leaving Canada. It's a bleak outlook. Despite all this, CMHC projected that housing prices would start going back up. We'll have to see what happens here. I don't know. I mean, people vote with their pocketbook, like they said in there. Sometimes one has to let the market fix itself. That's the truth. The market will fix itself. Same in Vancouver, just saw 4 listings of the same building sell for less than what they paid 4 years ago, ranging from losses of $20,000 to $100,000. People bought into the Trudeau FOMO. Never listen to Justin Trudeau. I think that's a lesson everyone's learned. Next up, we've got this one from Leviathan. It says, in lawless Ottawa, anyone can simply go into a government-run stumbling juice store, take whatever they like off the shelf, and walk out without paying. This really is the truth.
Sir,
Don't come back.
I wonder why your mother was sick of you.
I don't understand. The Hulk slam was invented for a reason. The Goldberg spear, pick one. The Hogan leg drop, pick one, anyone. They all work. You can't just let the guy walk out. What happens is when people do this, they steal cars, they steal anything. It increases insurance rates, it increases the cost of product because stores have to increase prices when things get stolen. It makes everything more expensive for us. So we need to take care of this. Store staff should be lifting this guy in the air and putting him on the ground and taking those bottles back. And then cops should be putting him in jail and he should be stuck in there for the next 6 months doing hard manual labor, digging ditches, cleaning out sewers, and cleaning up his life. Just imagine if that was the sentence. You wouldn't have this stuff anymore. People were cleaning sewers for 6 months for stealing something. They wouldn't steal anymore. They'd go to another country. It probably works for the government. Self-serve. Yeah, that's really what it is. Not the Canada I grew up in. Next up, this one coming from America. You can see this thing here. Looks like a meteor has struck down in North Carolina. That's wild. So I guess they're trying to find it now. I mean, a lot of different angles. So update here, the meteor and fireball witnessed by countless people across multiple states has been confirmed as struck Earth. Officials say fragments of meteorite crashed through the roof of a home in Henry County, Georgia. You can sell those meteorite fragments for a lot of money. Hopefully the police didn't confiscate them from the homeowner. Just want to take a quick second here to give a quick shout out to Tia. She's going through some hard times here. For anyone going through hard times, just remember when you look in the mirror, you're not Justin Trudeau. Things are rough in Canada, but things will get better eventually. We just need to wait for Carney to fail. The Conservatives being right there, have a new election, get Pierre Poilievre in power, and start fixing things. It's going to take some time. Carney has to fail first. Hopefully things get better for you, Tia. Your boyfriend Douglas wanted to put a smile on your face and give a little bit of shout out. And also I want to give a shout out to Kevin, a subscriber who did the painstaking work. I didn't even ask him. He just did this. He screenshot my video and sent me this. All the links to the Carney lie tracker. This was something that was on my to-do list. It's just a lot of work to go through and find all the sources to Carney's lies. So now they're all sourced, which, just makes it more credible for liberals who don't want to believe it. They can look it up for themselves now. So this is great. I'll continue this going forward there. I'll just keep expanding the Carney lie tracker here sideways as he keeps lying.